What up, everyone? This is NYG Jeffy T3285, and I'm here for Undercover Blue, where we're going to be talking about the news and events that have happened so far this week for the New York Football Giants. And so far for this week, we've had voluntary minicamp that have been happening the past few days, as well as some of the players that have come on to speak to the media, as well as the GM and the head coach as they prepare for the NFL draft, which is going to be in ironically 7 days. 7 days from tonight is going to be the 2022 NFL football draft. So it's getting here very soon. Everybody's getting excited, but just in terms of the feel and how everybody has been looking and feeling with this new regime that started up, how the players have been feeling, it just seems the vibe has been more uplifting. It seems like the players have just felt a lot more loose. They felt a lot more happy. It's just like a much more positive vibe that's been going on around Giants camp for the first few days of voluntary minicamp. Now, of course, the news has been dominated with the fact of what's going on with the James Bradbury situation. Is there going to be a trade on the horizon? He hasn't shown up the past few days for voluntary minicamp, which was expected because he's just wondering his fate. And Joe Schoen spoke about it in his press conference yesterday, saying that there have been calls about James Bradbury the past few days of his availability, and that Joe Schoen did mention that there is a possibility they will try to keep James Bradbury on this roster if a trade cannot be sufficed. So that's the reason why James Bradbury's here. And then obviously the big news that everybody's been talking about lately around Giants camp is the absence of Cadarius Toney and why he has not shown up to minicamp. And some of the players like Kenny Golladay, the head coach, the GM, have tried to talk about maybe that Cadarius Toney is just keeping in communication. He's just maybe working on his routes, just like taking care of a few things. But we really don't know the whole situation with Cadarius Toney. Now, should he be a voluntary minicamp? Yes, of course. It would be a very good impression for him to make on this new regime that he shows up to voluntary minicamp, learns the new playbook, gets out there with his teammates, and, just tries to build more of a rapport with Daniel Jones, especially coming off a very tumultuous rookie season that he had. But obviously, he's not here right now. It is voluntary, so you have to put that into effect. He doesn't have to show up to Giants voluntary minicamp if he doesn't want to. But it would be also a very good impression if he did because, like I mentioned before, he can work on some things with the coaching staff. And he can work on the play concepts. He can learn the playbook. He can get a rapport going on with Dable and everything. So who really knows what's going on with Cadarius Toney? There was a video that was released a couple of weeks ago of him training with his wide receivers coach, trying to probably work on his route running, probably working on maybe his conditioning, working on his strength, trying to build a little bit more mass on him. But who really knows what's going on with Cadarius Toney? But if he starts missing mandatory minicamp, then it's going to become a problem. But as of right now, sure, of course, we all would like Cadarius Toney to show up to Giants voluntary minicamp and give a good impression for the team, especially coming off a bad rookie season. But that's just it. It's voluntary. So we'll have to see what happens when mandatory minicamp begins. And in terms of like what some of the players have said, a lot of these players have chips on their shoulders right now. Leonard Williams, when he spoke, he's just like talking about trying to learn the most. He's trying to get a good grasp of Wink Martindale's defense. And of course, the big thing that Leonard Williams said is he's just looking right now to get to the playoffs. He's been in the league for 7 years and has not reached a playoff appearance yet. So his goal is to try to get this team to the playoffs and obviously come back from what he felt like a subpar season. Dexter Lawrence in his press conference talked about maybe becoming more of a leader on this defense. His option for his fifth-year option still hasn't been picked up. Really didn't go into big details about that. Saquon Barkley, who's been also in the midst of the fire with the Giants in terms of, is he going to be a guy that's going to be here the full season? What's his future after this year? Are they going to maybe even think about signing him to a contract extension? Saquon Barkley is just trying to get out there right now, and he's trying to let the coaching staff, the fans, and everybody know that he's going to get out there and he's going to work hard. He's going to try to let everybody know in that building that the old Saquon can still be there. And he's just got to try to find a way to stay healthy, work on keeping his body healthy, and just, try to keep himself on the field consistently. And then Kenny Golladay, also another guy that had a bad year last year. He's talking about that he had the choice if he wanted to be a voluntary minicamp, he didn't have to show up, but he said he wanted to be there because he wants to get involved with his team. He wants to try to bounce back after what happened season. And for somebody that's been critical of Kenny Golladay the entire offseason after what happened last year and felt like he dogged some plays, it's really good to hear Kenny Golladay say the things that he did, that he wants to be here, he wants to work hard and trying to improve himself, get to know this staff even more, work on in terms of his route running, learn the playbook a lot more, and try to make sure he gives off a good impression to his coaching staff. And then Joe Schoen went into details on what he's expecting for this upcoming draft and what he would like to do, and that he says he doesn't want to force any picks. He doesn't want to, just because there's a big-time need on this team, he doesn't want to go out there and force a need where he's going to make a pick just for the sake of making a pick, and it ends up backfiring him in the end. So he's just going to try to evaluate who he feels is the best fit for this team going forward in terms of who he would like to add to this team in terms of character, upside, how it fits in with the systems, either on the offensive or the defensive side of the ball. So it's just really going into details about that, trying to get guys that have a good high character but as well has good upside that fits in mostly with this system. And somebody that he can use to develop, so he's not going to force any picks, even if it's the offensive line, the pass rush, whatever it is. There's just been a lot of optimism going on with this team right now. Daniel Jones, even though it's been just him pitch and catch at times, he seems to be slinging the ball a lot better. He's getting the ball out quicker out of his hands. Saquon Barkley looks very spry. He had to call it a very nice 71-yard deep pass touchdown, which is good to see because he had a big-time season catching 91 balls in his rookie season. And hopefully the Giants are going to try to spread him out and try to get him more on the outside and throw the ball to him and make him more of a pass receiver, not just a running back. So that's just really a quick update. There's just been a lot of optimism going around this team. Brian Dable, Joe Schoen, Brandon Brown, Mike Kafka, Wink Martindale, just bringing a lot of optimism to this team. But as always, the optimism looks great right now. Got to see how this team gets together. Got to see how this team could gel. You have to see who also is added to this team, whether it's through the draft picks, via undrafted free agency, also some after-draft free agents that we picked up, maybe some trades that it could work out. And you got to see if this team can stay healthy going into the season, which has been a major bugaboo of this franchise for the past 10 years. They just cannot keep players healthy on the field. So just been a lot of strong optimism going on with the New York Giants. The NFL draft is going to be here before we know it in 1 week. So we're going to be finding out who's going to be adding on to this team, what potential players, building blocks we're going to be adding to this franchise. So it's just a lot of optimism right now, but also at the same time, you got to be careful because we've seen this before in the past, and you got to see how this team can stay healthy, stay together, and gel as a unit. So I just want to give you guys that quick update. If you haven't already, please like this video. And subscribe if you haven't already to NYG Jeffy T 3285 for some more New York Giants, Brooklyn Nets, New York Mets, WWE wrestling content. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Let's go Big Blue. Keep up the good vibes. Keep up the optimism. Together Blue always. And have a great rest of your day. Peace.